Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something a little different. We've got excerpts, almost like diary entries, from someone learning English while living in London.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this deep dive is going to give you a bunch of practical tips. I think it might even inspire you to pick up a new language.
Totally. What's fascinating about this is that it shows us, not just the techniques, but like the mindset you need to learn a language quickly.
Exactly.
So picture this. You've just landed in London. You're ready to learn English, but you're a little, scared. That's where Adam's story begins. No classes or anything, just diving right into conversations, using music and movies to practice every single day.
It's amazing how that, mirrors how we learn our first language.
Yeah.
Think about how babies learn. They don't start with textbooks, right? They just listen
Right.
and they copy and they start to figure out the patterns.
So Adam's got all these cool techniques, like one he calls shadowing. Basically talks along with native speakers to, get the pronunciation down and sound natural.
Yeah, shadowing is super helpful. It really trains your mouth to make those sounds, and it helps you get the rhythm of the language.
Yeah. He also has this technique called thinking aloud, where
Mhm.
he, narrates his day, even his thoughts, in English.
I love that. Thinking aloud forces you to actually use the language, even when you don't have someone to talk to.
It's like you're talking to yourself.
It is. It helps you actually speak instead of just understanding, which can be a real challenge for people.
For sure. And of course, he learns vocabulary the good old-fashioned way, but he doesn't just memorize lists. He tries to learn new words in context.
That's smart. Research shows that we learn words in phases, right? So you don't just learn a word by seeing it once.
Right.
You have to see it over and over again in different situations to really get it.
To understand it, yeah.
Yeah.
So Adam's using all these techniques, but where's he practicing? Well, he gets a job in a busy London cafe. Talk about being thrown in the deep end.
A cafe is the perfect place to learn a language. You're always talking to new people and dealing with all sorts of situations. You pick up slang you won't find in any textbook.
I bet he heard a lot of different accents too, huh?
Oh, for sure. Hearing different accents can be tough at first. But it's like training your ear to tell the difference between, say, a trumpet and a saxophone playing the same tune. It's key for really becoming fluent.
That makes sense. So we've got Adam. He's got these awesome techniques, and he's working in a super language-rich environment. But does it actually, work? Well, after just 1 year.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. Remember, Adam wasn't starting from zero. He had some basics. But after that year in London, boom, his vocabulary shot up to 4,000 words.
Wow. 4,000 words. That's enough to have a real conversation.
Totally.
It really shows you what consistent effort can do.
It does. It does. But get this. He doesn't stop there. Adam actually starts teaching English.
Wait, he goes from learning to teaching in just a year. That's amazing.
It is. It shows that with the right techniques, and if you put in the work, anyone can become fluent and even teach.
And help others learn.
It's incredible how learning becomes a two-way street. Not only do you learn, you actually help others learn too.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I love that. It's so cool how he goes from struggling to understand English to actually teaching it.
Yeah, talk about a confidence booster, right? It just proves that anyone can become really good at a language, even good enough to teach it. But, it wasn't always easy for Adam. He definitely had some bumps in the road.
Oh, yeah. Like that time he totally froze when he was trying to understand a customer with a really strong Scottish accent.
Oh, yeah. That's something that happens to everyone learning a new language. You get used to hearing one accent, and then suddenly, boom, you hear another one, and you're lost. But what's important is how Adam reacted. He didn't just give up. He found resources to help him get used to different accents. He used that setback as a way to learn more.
That's so important. It's like that saying, the only way to do it is to do it.
Yeah,
You can't be afraid to make mistakes.
exactly. Mistakes are going to happen. It's part of learning. The key is to see those mistakes, as feedback, not as failures. Adam's teacher had a good way of putting it. She said, learning a language is like learning a musical instrument. You wouldn't expect to be a concert pianist on your first try, right?
No way. You're going to hit some wrong notes along the way.
But you keep practicing and you get better. And those mistakes, they happen less and less.
Right. And that's why it's so important to keep practicing. Adam's story really shows us how important it is to make language learning a habit, something you do every day. He didn't become fluent overnight. It took time, and those small efforts every single day really added up. It's like working out a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Speaking of working out, I remember Adam saying he joined a football team in London. That must have been another cool way to practice.
Oh, totally. Doing stuff like that, being social, is such a good way to immerse yourself in the language and the culture. It's a fun, relaxed way to use the language, and it helps you build your confidence and make friends with native speakers.
And speaking of confidence, there's a part in Adam's story where he starts to worry that he's not talented enough to learn languages, especially compared to his sister, who seems to pick up languages easily. I think a lot of people feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to compare ourselves to others and feel like we're not good enough. But Adam's teacher, she really challenged this whole idea of talent. She said everyone who has learned their first language, they already have the ability to learn another one.
That's a really good point. It's not like some magic power. It's about using the ability we already have to learn languages. It's about believing in ourselves and just going for it.
Exactly. And that's where finding the right way to learn comes in. Adam didn't do well with the traditional methods, but when he found a learning environment that focused on actually communicating and using the language in real life, he thrived.
That makes sense. It's all about finding what works best for you. Some people might do really well with, like, structured lessons, while others, like Adam, learn better by just jumping into conversations and real-life situations.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about having a clear reason for why you're learning. What started for Adam as a simple thing, wanting to understand Beatles lyrics, turned into something bigger. He wanted to connect with people, to really experience London, and then eventually to even help others learn English.
That's so true. Having a reason, a purpose, it gives you that extra push, that motivation to keep going when things get tough and makes the whole journey more meaningful.
It totally does. And it's something we can apply to anything we do in life, not just learning languages. When you know why you're doing something, the how becomes so much easier.
Adam's story really shows that learning a language isn't just about, memorizing words and grammar. It's about growing as a person, connecting with people, and seeing the world in a new way.
Yeah, it's totally a journey of self-discovery. And what's really cool is that Adam didn't succeed because he had some natural talent. It was his attitude. He was willing to face the challenges and actually saw mistakes as a way to grow.
He didn't let those tough moments get him down. He asked for help, he practiced all the time, and he turned those setbacks into, motivation to keep going. That's something we can all learn from no matter what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes Adam's story so inspiring. It reminds us that anyone can become fluent in a new language if they have the right approach and put in the effort. It's not about some magic trick or a shortcut. It's about working at it and being willing to try new things.
Yeah, and finding what works for you. Adam tried different things, found the right learning environment, and, basically created his own way of learning that led him to success. It shows that there's no one right way to learn a language.
And don't forget about the importance of having other people around you. Adam had his teachers, his classmates, even the customers at the cafe to support him and motivate him. It shows that learning a language isn't something you have to do alone. It's about connecting with people and going through the journey together.
And those connections are so important. They give you that extra push, and you get to practice in real-life situations. So as we finish up our deep dive into Adam's journey, I'm curious, what sticks out to you the most? What did you learn that you can take with you on your own language learning adventure? Or even just in life in general when you're trying something new?
For me, it's that thing about seeing mistakes as a good thing. It's about changing the way we think. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, we see them as helpful feedback that shows us how to get better.
That's such a powerful way to look at things.
There
It takes the pressure off of being perfect and lets us, enjoy the learning process even when it's messy.
And it's not just about changing how we think, it's about doing something. Adam didn't just wish he could speak English. He went out there and practiced, even if it meant talking to himself.
That's so great. It shows us that we can create our own learning opportunities, even without a classroom or a teacher. We can make language a part of our lives through music, movies, even just talking to ourselves throughout the day.
And speaking of taking action, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge. What's one small thing you can do today to get a little closer to your language goals? Maybe download a language learning app, listen to a podcast in your target language, or even just write down a few new words to learn.
That's a great challenge. Remember, even small steps, if you do them consistently, can lead to big progress over time. Adam's story shows us that if you have the right attitude, a little courage, and you put in the effort, you can unlock the world of language learning.
So go for it, take on that challenge, and who knows, maybe one day we'll be talking about your language learning story right here on The Deep Dive.